Lucifer fixed his hat and tried to stand as tall as possible as the eyes focused on him. "Well, it seems we have a surprise guest today," said Carmilla. "Our king wants to make a small presentation before we begin. So if everyone can please pay attention, that would be wonderful." She took a seat. As Lucifer coughed into his hand and was given the clicker to make the slides go, Alastor leaned forward and carefully watched the king make a complete mockery of himself. "Yes, hello, thank you for fitting me in with such late notice. Today I will present to you." He waved his hand back and accidentally hit the screen. It wobbled, but eventually didn't fall down. "Yes, I am presenting Lucifer Morningstar's presentation to invite the Overlords to our hotel reopening, extermination victory, sinner's invitation to move in, jazzy thingy party, and my lovely daughter helped me make it." Alastor slowly sank into his seat. Suddenly, all the secret harboring feelings he had for Lucifer were becoming a regret. Lucifer continued to the next slide. "Now you may be asking, why should I come to this party? Well, that's why I am here. But first, a few introductions." Alastor looked around the room. The overlords were uncomfortable with the King of Hell acting so childishly in front of a screen with doodles colored with crayons. Alastor wanted to rip the screen away, throw it out the building. It was only made worse when he noticed Fox biting into his own lips to hold back the laughter. Lucifer clicked to the next slide, and Alastor's eyes were now painfully twitching. Why, on this glorious abyss that is hell, was there a drawing of him beside Lucifer and Charlie on the screen? What made it worse? Why were there little hearts drawn around him? Rosie slowly turned her head to look at the distraught Alastor and bit her bottom lip. It quivered with words she wanted to blurt out so badly, but with a glare he gave her a warning not to speak. Lucifer continued. "I'm your king, Lucifer Morningstar. Hi. I don't think I have formally met all of you. We can go over names later. Anyway, I made this presentation with my amazing, spectacular, beautiful daughter, Charlie Morningstar. And there is Alastor." He clicked to the next slide, as if it didn't matter. "This is Charlie's hotel, the Has-Been Hotel." Little pieces of confetti came out of his hands. One piece landed on Alastor's nose, and his whole face started to shake. Apparently, Alastor came up with the name, but that's not here or there. Alastor scowled, wanting to reach over the table and grab Lucifer by the neck. "We have recently renovated and want to celebrate its grand opening. You know that little extermination recently brought down the whole place? So we had to rebuild." Lucifer faced the projector and pointed at the doodle. "Oh, look at Kiki," he cooed, and went to the next slide. "We won that battle and want to throw a party to celebrate." "Okay, that's 2 reasons for this party," commented Villette, looking extremely confused and unnerved. "Please leave your comments for later. At this time, I would like to take a moment to thank our fallen heroes." He took off his hat and bowed his head. Everyone in the room looked at each other, befuddled and awkward. Except for Alastor. His eyes were burned on Lucifer and the audacity of this whole presentation. "Okay, moving on." He switched slides and popped his hat back on. "You are all invited to the jazz party." He provided jazz hands with his words. "Hosted by Charlie, produced by me, and your show host, Mr. Radio Demon himself, Alastor." He pointed at the Overlord, and everyone's eyes darted to him. He was on edge of exploding, but Lucifer clearly didn't care. "He's been working really hard on the set list. It's actually really good. I was shocked." He looked over to Alastor and stuck out his tongue. "I'm kidding. You have good taste." He clicked to the next slide. "So, why come? We have food, endless booze, music, an exclusive gift bag from the Lust District." "Oh, now you're speaking my language," commented Valentino. "See, he gets it." He moved to the next slide. Another groan escaped Alastor. The slide was covered in duck doodles of those mentioned on it, including himself. "We have a performance by yours truly." Lucifer popped his coat collar and did a little dance. "Angel Dust will be performing in and out of drag. Charlie and Vaggie have a very cute duet, and your host Alastor has some performances." "I am dying to see that part." Rosie grabbed Alastor's shoulder and shook him, in part to get him out of his little rut and silent whining. "You were always an excellent performer." Alastor finally relaxed a little, until he noticed Fox staring at him from across the table. He offered back an irritated face. When Alastor returned his gaze to the screen, he noticed a small note made next to his name. The irritation returned. He pointed to it. "What outfit?" Lucifer turned and nodded his head in understanding. "Don't worry about it. You will get it soon. It's being specially tailored." What outfit, Lucifer? He yelled in response, holding his head from the growing headache. Lucifer ignored him. There are plenty more sinners coming to the performance, but we have a special performance by... Lucifer did a drum roll on his pants. Ozzy, B, and Fitzgerald! Everyone at the table gasped. To be able to see two more deadly sins come up to pride was what finally caught their attention. But unlike Lucifer, Alastor knew, for some, it wasn't such a good idea. Yes, see? Alastor, this is why we had to invite them, and you regretted going to the districts with me. He clicked to the next slide, ignoring the fact that every overlord glared at Alastor. Alastor growled lowly and lowered his forehead to the table to bang it a few times. Of course, Lucifer let that slip. He was never going to hear the end of it. You went to the other districts? Asked Rosie. Yes, but... Alastor stopped replying when Lucifer coughed into his hand. Excuse me, I am still talking. The overlords peeled their eyes off of Alastor and returned their attention to Lucifer. However, the tension in the room had exponentially increased, and Lucifer wasn't sure how the remainder of the meeting was going to go once Lucifer left. Lucifer continued with the slide. Now the reason we are throwing this party. Other than the many other reasons you've already told us, interjected Vox. Yes, but this is the most important one. Charlie's goal is to welcome sinners into the hotel and show them what we can offer. Rehabilitation and redemption are within reach, and we want sinners to come in and get to know our services. Where's your proof? Asked Zestial. Has a soul been redeemed? No, not yet, but it's possible. How? Asked Carmilla. How can you make sure this happens? Lucifer's eyes darted around and landed on the irate Alastor. With a groan and an eye roll, Alastor sat up and spoke. Because of Heaven's lack of communication. Since the extermination, all calls to Heaven have gone unanswered. Charlie has attempted communicating with her one ally, and she's being blocked. Now why would that be? Because you killed Adam. Duh, replied Vox, condescendingly resting the edge of his TV head on his hand. And because of our plan. There is something they haven't discussed with us, and we sense it may have to do with disrupting the order of things. By the path of redemption, chimed in Lucifer. Yes, that. Alastor carefully watched the faces of each of the overlords. Somehow they were able to begin the topic of conversation for today's meeting, and Lucifer appeared to not put the pieces together. None of the overlords continued their talking, obviously not wanting to speak with Lucifer still present in the room. Go on, sire. You may continue, said Alastor. You've got to stop calling me that. It's weird now between us. Lucifer clicked the button, but it didn't switch. Distracted by the device, once again all eyes were on the radio demon. There was no way of escaping the barrage of questions that were likely to come his way soon. Finally, the slide clicked. Overlords, this is your chance to join in this little project. Bring yourself and your souls to check out the place. See what we are doing and ask any questions. And remember, if you say you won't come... Suddenly a wind swirled in the room. Hair flying upward, clothes flapping around, and even Vox had to hold on to his tiny hat. When they turned back to the glowing monitor, Lucifer's horns, adorned with a flame and snake coiled around it, and his bright red eyes glared at them. I am your king, and I command you to attend. In a snap, he was back to normal. Right. He clicked the next slide. Please RSVP right now, and thank you for your time. The overlords gawked at him with a mix of discomfort and fear. Alastor had never been so attracted to him until this moment. Oh, but one more thing. He clicked the button. What do you think of my new duck design? I think I like it. I'm not sure. The attraction quickly faded away. Rosie laughed between her teeth, holding back from bursting. Some others followed, but she was the one to speak. Sire, it looks rather familiar, almost like someone we know. Huh? He turned back to look at the image, tilting his head. I don't get it. It was obviously Alastor as the rubber duck. Alastor's shadow broke through the projector as he stood and huffed with frustrating breath. One hand held up with his vicious claws, curling them in a threatening manner. Enough of this, Lucifer. It's time to go. Lucifer stepped back from the pieces flying from the projector. What now? Alastor composed himself, took his cane, and walked around the table to grab Lucifer's shoulders and shove him out the door. The overlords immediately talked once the door closed behind them.